up, guys? Welcome back. Another edition of Rambling with Rhino on Podbean. It's been a while. Finally got back to work. Trying to get back to normal and doing a few things, working and actually getting out of the house. Whereas been stuck in the house for, I don't know, maybe 2 months. No going out to eat, no working out in the field. Really not going anywhere other than maybe to pick up food here or there. So it's been a weird time, and hopefully we're trying to get back to where we were before this whole thing broke out. It really interesting to see how this takes place. Fortunately, excuse me, we're in the summer months, so most kids are going to be out of school at this point anyway. Kind of screwed up the senior years for a lot of kids, sports, academics, and otherwise, but hopefully we're getting back to normal. Biggest question I got though is, we're in June, which is off month generally, maybe some conditioning, July off, and then once August gets here, man, sports kind of ramps up, football season, you start conditioning, you start practicing, and then, middle of the month, you start talking about stuff like scrimmages and jamborees. And I wonder, with all these new parameters of public school, potentially wearing masks and gloves and sanitizing, and, I don't know how many, with the schools being somewhat overcrowded, you're talking about, 25 to 30 kids in a room. What are the parameters going to be on a sick kid or a kid with a fever? If one kid gets it, do you then quarantine the other 26, 7, 8 kids? How is all that going to play out? And then flip it to the football side of it. Those kids have been to school all week. I don't know if you test them every day because they're coming in contact with people who aren't on the football team. The NFL can kind of quarantine themselves. College can pretty much do all their stuff online. I don't really know what high school kids could do to curb the spread of this thing. So, what is Friday night going to look like? Of course, you still have to play tackle football. So you take a guy like the running back on the team. He's going to be in the huddle with his teammates, running up the middle with his teammates blocking it, and having 11 guys from the other side of the field trying to tackle him. And that's going to be the way it is across the board. Contact on every play, a lot of sweat. So how do you break it down, gloves or not, or you definitely can't play in mask, especially in the South. So I just wonder in general, how is this going to take place, and what are precautions and then repercussions? You take the team like the running back, like I said, he's been in the huddle with all his teammates, been in the locker room with his teammates, on the sidelines with his teammates, and then maybe 25 different defensive players from another team have come in contact with him. Maybe he's a two-way guy and he's come in contact with just about everybody from another team. And then, the handshakes afterwards. They play Friday night, Sunday, Monday, he comes down with coronavirus. Then what do you do? Do you quarantine the whole football team? Do they miss 2 weeks of games because the running back has coronavirus? Does the team they played against then have to quarantine for 2 weeks or be heavily tested to make sure they're good for the Friday night going forward? You can't really quarantine the whole team with having, living at home with parents and brothers and sisters and cousins and friends and grandparents and then classmates. So that's going to be the biggest thing for me, is what's going to happen once a kid who plays sports ends up with coronavirus. And then going forward, basketball is a physical game. It's not quite as many, but how do you stop that? On the football side, on the Friday night, what's the crowd gonna look like? There's a lot of schools around here that's got more band members than football players. So you got 100 band members marching, side by side and sitting in the corner of the stand side by side, shoulder to shoulder. Is the band spread out? And if so, how much? They already take up a good bit of room, but it's manageable. You spread them out 6 feet apart, you're not gonna have anywhere to sit. On top of that, who's allowed to come watch the game? Is it free for all, like anybody who's got $7 can come in, or Is it going to be like graduation where it's only immediate family and each player gets a certain amount of tickets? It's going to be interesting. Cheerleaders, doing the pyramids and cheering together, and how are they going to be delegated on the sidelines? And then, of course, you got coaches and trainers and everybody else. So there's going to be a lot of contact, a lot of interaction, a lot of sweating and touching and breathing and coughing, and just curious to see who has a plan for this and what is the reaction going to be once it happens. College is still talking about it. College really can't afford to do it without fans. That fans pay the bills. You're making millions of dollars per game. A lot of the SEC schools have instituted alcohol sales for this upcoming season, so they're planning to have a spike in their income. But instead of 80,000, if you only allow 40,000, that takes away donors and tickets and parking and concessions and the beer. And if you can't tailgate, a lot of those people aren't going to pay. And a lot of those people aren't going to pay that $20,000 for bad seats. They used to having lower level, but if you spread everybody out, some people are getting pushed to the top. So it's going to be a catch-22 for a lot of situations. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it happens. And I really hope that it does happen. College needs all that income. Number one, because even though they have TV revenue, it's only like 20%, whereas ticket sales, donors, and concessions are 80%. Flip that around, the NFL is 75-80% TV and 20% the other. So NFL can survive, but I'm not sure college football can. You've already seen some schools do away with baseball or some of the other sports. I think Title IX is going to take a hit on this. You're going to lose some girls' sports. You're going to lose some male sports that don't really generate revenue. It's nice that a lot of schools can have 20 different sports programs, but without football, you can't pay for swimming and track and tennis and golf and wrestling. So there's going to be some cutbacks here. And then again, they're probably going to lose some tuition money. Not as many kids will probably be staying on campus because of the disease. Do a lot of online classes. Won't be eating at the Russell House. Take away that income as well. So we're gonna see. Really looking forward to it. I hope the NBA playoffs go off without a hitch. I think myself and most of my friends are looking forward to it. NASCAR's come back, and not the biggest NASCAR fan, but really have enjoyed having something to watch a couple days a week. Golf is coming back next week. Looking forward to it. And then, hopefully baseball gets theirs figured out, horse racing, and then college football. The thing about baseball is I understand you never want to get anybody to get the best of you. But if you're a Bryce Harper, Mike Trout type guy, Clayton Kershaw that's made money, $300, $400 million contracts, no matter what you get paid this year, man, it's enough. I think you're good. On the flip side of that, if you're a young guy and you hadn't made your millions yet, can you afford to go a whole year without making anything? And I get it, it's a bartering system, and you really want to get it figured out. But and I get it. I'm not blaming anyone in particular, because I think both are at fault to a certain degree. But you are still getting to play, and I wish they would just throw the gauntlet down and say, we're going to play, players be here on this date, you get 2 or 3 weeks of training, and we're going. If you don't want it, there's a AAA guy that'll take your spot. There's a lot. That's the good thing about baseball, man, is there's hundreds of guys in the farm system who would love an opportunity to play on that level, and will play for half the money, because half the money is probably 3 times as much money as what they're used to. So hope they get it figured out. It's a bad look for baseball. Baseball's been on an up and down. The lockout and the steroid scandal, and it's always come back strong. But baseball's weak right now, popularity-wise. It's not America's game anymore. NFL is definitely America's game. So hopefully they get it figured out. Because I'd love to see it, even if it's a 50-game season. There's some guys who had a chance to make a roster, and they might not get that chance now a year later. And there's some guys who only have a couple years left to play that they're gonna miss out on those twilight years of their career. I really want to see the Braves play this year, the young guys, and grabbing guys like, a Felix Hernandez, a Cole Hamels to add to the pitching staff, older guys mixed with those young guys. And it's going to be exciting. You can throw an asterisk on it if you want, NBA or Major League. Throw an asterisk on it. Who cares? There's no asterisk on the Astros, and they know they cheated. So I don't care about the asterisk. I just want to see the games played. So really looking forward to it, man. Hopefully we get back to the normal. I'm ready to watch sports. I'm ready to talk about sports. I don't want to talk about scandal. I don't want to talk about racism. I don't want to talk about issues in politics where, you're really not going to change anybody's mind. You're just going to piss off a lot of people. So, I stick with the popular stuff like the sports. Anyway, appreciate you listening. Any feedback would be welcome. We'll try to watch some documentaries this weekend. Have more things to talk about. If you have Hulu and you hadn't watched it, Red Dog on Hulu, the Luke Dick story about the Red Dog Saloon in Oklahoma, hell of a documentary. So give that a look. Be safe out there. Continue on to the new normal, and we'll talk to you guys later.